Welcome to ACE RMO 2025 Tauranga webinar. My name is Sam and I am the ACE RMO consultant. We're going to start off with an opening karakia by Dr. Matt Wheeler, and then I will give everyone an outline on today's webinar. So over to you, Matt.
Ko tai mai nei a runga te ipurangi a tina nei ko nei nai atu te mihi ki a koutou katoa kua paoro atu ki a koutou katoa he karakia a tātou. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kuta, kia mā taratara ki tai. He hiaki ana te atukura, he tio, he hoka, he hauhu, a tihei mauri ora.
Thank you so much, Matt, and welcome to the webinar today and taking the time out to join. So we'll move on to the panelist introduction shortly, but just a brief outline. In today's webinar, we will have a video that we will share with you all, and then a presentation that will be presented by our panelists. Our RMO representatives will also tell you a bit more about the experience within the hospital. Towards the end of the webinar, we will have a live Q&A session, and then finally we'll close off with a karakia. So just a reminder, if you do pop your questions in the Q&A box, we will answer those towards the end of the session. So I'm going to hand over to our wonderful panelists to introduce themselves.
Kia ora. I'm Alistair. I'm one of the ED consultants, purification educational supervisors. Welcome to Tauranga. And so we have...
I'm Ashley. I'm one of the PGY2 house officers. I'm on relief at the moment, soon to be on ED.
Kia ora, I'm Danny and I'm one of the PGY1 house officers.
Kia ora, my name's Shalom. I'm on Gen Med at the moment, the Go Hospital.
Kia ora, I'm Lee. I'm one of the PGY2 house officers as well.
Tēnā koutou, ko Matt Wheeler tō reinua. I'm Matt. I am a general medical physician, a haematologist, and I am the clinical equity lead for this hospital.
Kia ora, my name is Emma. I am the RMO recruitment coordinator.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Jeremy Armstrong, one of the paediatricians here, but I'm also a pre-vacation education supervisor.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Colleen Hanson and I'm the RMO units manager.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to now move on to sharing the video, so enjoy.
Hi guys, I'm Olivia. I'm one of the new house surgeons at Tauranga Hospital. I'm an Otago student and I've just started this year. One of the main reasons why I picked Tauranga Hospital is because of both the learning opportunities here and also the lifestyle that the Bay of Plenty provides. There's ample things to do in the region, and alongside that is the environment at the hospital is really collaborative and everyone is very approachable.
Kia ora, I'm Tremaine Mako. I'm one of the PGY1 house officers here at Tauranga Hospital. Just wanted to talk a bit about, I guess, the prospect of coming to work here at Tauranga. So originally I'm from Bluff. I grew up far south from here. It's actually my partner who is a local that I've come up here and decided to park up and live here. I think a large part of this hospital and what past doctors have spoken to is that it's a very supportive and good environment for you to develop as a doctor, as well as a professional starting off work and finishing a long journey at university. I think a lot of people are tied to the idea of the lifestyle. Obviously it's a lovely place here in the Bay, but I think a really good part of this is that people here that you work with believe in fostering your growth as a doctor, but also believe in your potential to be a good one too.
Kia ora, my name's Tim. I'm one of the PGY2 second year house officers working at Tauranga Hospital. I'm an Otago grad. I'm originally from Palmerston North. That's where I was born and bred. Just going to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience and why I chose Tauranga and why I came up here. I think many of you guys have probably been here before, and as you guys all know, the Bay of Plenty is beautiful. There's the mount, and the location of Tauranga is really ideal. That's definitely a big factor why I chose Tauranga. Also had a couple of close friends and a bit of family up here that I could have support on. Things that I thought that would have been helpful, especially as an Otago grad, and making this decision, and what I think would help the application is also on your ACE website there should be contact emails that you can email to visit the hospital if you're interested, and obviously then visit the region. I think Otago is quite lenient in terms of giving you time to visit the hospitals, so definitely take those opportunities.
Kia ora, I'm Michael. I'm one of the PGY2s here at Tauranga Hospital. Currently I'm working in the ED, and I have been for the last 3 months. Originally I'm from Hawke's Bay, studied in Auckland, and I'm an Auckland grad, and I did my last year of study, my TI year here at Tauranga, which is one of the reasons that drove me to apply and want to work here. So in your PGY2 year, there's more opportunities, more attachments than your PGY1 year that you can choose to do. So in terms of medical attachments, we have cardiology and oncology. In terms of the surgical attachments, you can continue to do surgery or orthopedics, but there's also urology and ENT/opthal house officer jobs. There's an ED job that you can do. And there's also a variety of community attachments that people really enjoy. So there's opportunities for GP for 3 months, sexual health, palliative care, and public health, with a rural attachment in Te Kaha, which is on the east coast past Whakatane. And that's an opportunity to spend 3 months in a very rural and isolated place with a great community there. And the people that have done it have really loved it and enjoyed it, and said that's the best part of their first 2 years of being a house officer. So there's so many opportunities for you going into the future. Cool.
I think if I was in your guys' shoes a year ago, which I was, I think the main thing I'd be thinking about being an Otago grad, which I was I guess how you want to do your cover letter and how you're going to appear, I guess, in terms of your references and your runs leading up into the application process.
So alongside Tauranga being a really amazing place to live, the hospital provides a really great environment for learning opportunities. Because it's a smaller hospital than some of the bigger tertiary centres, there's more opportunities to develop your procedural skills and to perhaps be doing procedures that in other bigger hospitals you wouldn't be able to do.
Kia ora, my name's Julia. I'm one of the new grads here in Tauranga. I'm an Otago graduate. I studied in Dunedin for the first 3 and then Christchurch for my next 3 years. I chose to come back here to Tauranga because I'm from here, I was born and raised here, and I heard that it had a really good community feel to it, so I was pretty keen to come back. I think something that's really stood out to me here in Tauranga is the social aspect. Coming from a bigger centre before, I've found it really noticeable how collegial everyone is. And one of the coolest bits is every day everyone meets up and has lunch together. There's always someone around that you can ask questions and have support from, which I think is really important. Something else is we've already had quite a few social events, which is really good. There's been bowls events and boat parties and like lunches and potlucks, which is really cool to kind of get to know your colleagues and feel really well supported. Something else that I've noticed that's really cool is the cultural support as well. So there's a Māori and Pacific group here, which meets every month, and there's kind of social events and also more like support stuff within the hospital. So it's really nice to kind of have that cultural support too.
What was it like adjusting to work here at Tauranga Hospital as a Otago grad and never kind of worked here before? Kind of like any other hospital, things are kind of slightly different, and different paperwork and different admin. There are lots of Auckland trainee intern grads as well who actually end up working here, and they're often quite helpful, but usually kind of after your first couple of weeks up to a month, everything's kind of, you know, second nature, and you're quite happy to work here, and you don't really feel like you're kind of behind on any of your other colleagues either. Hope this all helped in terms of your choice and wanting to come here, and hope to see you guys in the future.
Thank you. That was a really lovely video. So thanks to those that put that together. What I'm going to do now is we'll move into the presentation, and then our panelists will go ahead and present to that.
So the question you probably really want to know next is, how do you apply and how do we decide who we're going to select? So for the last few years, Jeremy, Matt and I have been part of this. The recruitment process is on the slide. I mean, we basically want to know who you are, and you will be applying through the ACE matching process. We will then get all of you that have put anywhere on that matching process, which turns out to be each year about 400 applicants. So we go through and we look at every single one of them, which takes a bit of time. And the people that go through it are the people you see in the room, as depending on which of these four decide that they want to get involved. In terms of the process that we follow to go through these things, so first of all, we're going to go through that shortlist, and if you rank us, we'll look at it. And then we will look at your cover letter, CV, references, and look at all the things. And each of us tends to have slightly different weighting on it, but as Trey said, make sure you put a cover letter in there, because that tells us a lot more about you than the rest of it and what your values are. We do interview, and we shortlist for interview. We interview about 2 days. You don't have to attend for interview, as in you don't have to be physically present. We will interview on however you let us contact you, whether you are in Tauranga or Guatemala. We will endeavour to speak to you. I think it's a good way, if you are going to be unelected, to give us at least 2 ways of contacting you. Every so often the video does not work because of Wi-Fi in where you are. If you don't get interviewed, it doesn't necessarily mean the end of it, because matching, we have to match up to 100 of you, but we shortlist the people that we think our interview will benefit us most in speaking to. And then the ranking depends on a combination of all of those things. So again, trying to make sure that you have sold yourself well on the cover letter. Your CV should speak for itself, and your referees. The main question then is, do you have to visit us? And I think Tim talked to that a little bit. And the visit is not so much for our benefit, if it is for your benefit. The visit is because you are going to be working here for a couple of years. You want to make sure you're applying for the right hospitals. Wherever you're applying for, try to visit, try to get a feel for where it is, and make sure that that culture of that hospital is where you want to work, because that's what we want to know. You don't have, if you don't visit, it doesn't necessarily penalise against you, unless of course you happen to be somewhere like Rotorua, in which case if it's easy to visit and you don't visit, then that will come against you. Then we match, you match. What we're actually looking for is we want to see who's going to be here in the future. We're training you to be looking after our whānau, looking after our community, looking after us as well. Our aim is for you to be better than we are, so that you can progress to help in our community or whatever else New Zealand needs you. And then once you start, we will orientate you, we will train you, and we will support you. That is our aim. And then after that, and hopefully we've given you a great foundation for your medical career, so that then you can go off and be the amazing people that you are undoubtedly are. Anything to add to that, Matt?
I think the comment for the group that I would make is I was a house surgeon here. I was a ex-ACE interview person. I did my interview by phone from Botswana. Last year we interviewed people via WhatsApp from all over the world. We're looking for people who will be house surgeons here who will then want to come back as consultants here. Because you genuinely have to know that this is for you, because because it is competitive. There are a lot of CVs to go through, so your cover letter is the thing that's the most important thing to spend your time with, and to individualise it to here. Applying to 10 different hospitals and just chucking Tauranga on the end and saying, "Dear hospital, you won't get a job here." So if you genuinely are interested, you genuinely want to come here, then I do suggest visiting for your own sake, to know that you truly do want to come here and it's a fit for you, and then reflect that in your cover letter. Because everyone who's gotten a job here reflected something in their cover letter, and reflected in the fact that they, some communication with the hospital that let us know that they genuinely did want to come here, because that's what we want. We want people who are passionate to turn up every day, who get on with us, who we get on with you. And at the end of all of that, there's good outcomes for the patients that we serve within this community.
And just be careful as well, because what Matt says is absolutely true. But if you make a 2-page cover letter, your really important facts will be lost in it. So more is not necessarily more. But from what was from your guys' point of view, because you've all been through this process, what was your insights from the recruitment process?
Definitely how important the cover letter was.
Yeah.
That was the main thing I focused on, because I feel like the CV, so everyone's is going to be very similar. And yeah, family ties and being here as a TI was really helpful as well, because you know what to expect. That's my insight.
Yeah. I would say, because I wasn't here as a TI, don't be put off if you haven't been here for your final year. Because there are other ways that you can sort of convey that you genuinely do want to work here. Like, for example, I did a studentship at the end of my 4th year. I was here in 4th year, did studentship then, and then came back for a little bit of my elective as well. And yeah, like what Ashley was saying about the cover letter, you can put a lot into that in like sort of relatively few words. And yeah, it's like with any job, you just want to sort of convey why you want the job and why you'd be a good fit for it, and also like in turn why you think you would serve that area and that community well. So yeah.
Yeah. Anything else to add?
That's pretty much. Yeah. I think a couple of big things.
Yeah. And Donna Watson in the clinical school is the person who's best to contact to try and arrange visits if you want that, is just appearing on screen here.
Well, I just add that what we are hoping when we see you, although you're coming with the concept of being a first-year health officer, we're looking to see you as our GPs and consultants, and certainly as a paediatrician in my department. Most of our consultants have been medical students, or they've been health surgeons, come back as registrars, come back as fellows, come back as consultants. So we're really growing our own, and you will hopefully be us, our GPs, our specialists, and as Matt said, be much better at your job than we were.
Some of the arms off, then really be better than that one. I think we'll move on to Q&A next time.
Great, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So we've got a few questions that have come through. So there was a question about what you were looking for, anything specific within the cover letter, but I think you guys have covered that quite well. Next question was, do you provide short-term accommodation at the hospital premises?
So I can speak to that. I don't believe that we have any quarters. Yeah. So, you know, like in the olden days, where there was maybe a hospital. But depending on the sector that they will join, and I think house officers are usually under RDA. There is an allowance. So you get, like, if you move, you get 50%, you know, of your move, for instance. And I think there may be something in regarding, you know, like settling in, maybe. We can look up what clauses under. I can't quote it out of my head, but you could actually go onto the NZRDA site and go and have a look what the first year house officer, what they're entitled to, because it gets covered under that there.
How did you guys find accommodation when you came?
I mean, I think for us who were TIs here, it was quite easy because once we got the job, we started looking and we could go to viewings while we were here. And we found, I think most of us paired up with other TIs and then found accommodation, like flats in the Mount. I don't know what it was like in terms of coming from Otago.
I think there's a Facebook group for the doctors here, for the people who are switching their flats off from last time. And so there are groups, and so they're just connected to further, because there's always registrars leaving and house officers coming and going. And so I think there is a Facebook group, and there's a certain number of flats that remain. Yes. Yeah, right. So it feels almost a bit like Otago-esque and some of those things.
You still want to be the person handling and getting the bond back at the end of the day.
I do have a boarding options list too that I'm more than happy to email out to anyone who is struggling.
Perfect.
It's just got some good accommodation.
Oh.
And then I guess leading on to that, there was another question about what are the average accommodation costs?
Here we go, here's the questions. Accommodation costs. I mean, it varies, unfortunately. It's
200-ish a week between.
You are about to start getting paid though, and you'll be getting paid more. So the accommodation costs are somewhat less of an issue once you start getting paid.
I mean, it's a classic thing, isn't it? If you want to be at Mount Main Beach on one of the Twin Towers, you're paying a significant amount. If you want to be up behind the hospital, you know, you won't be paying so much. Let's just put it that way. So it depends on what you're looking for. But I think most of the house surgeons have reasonable accommodation, somewhat over towards the Mount side, somewhat in the vicinity of $200 a week.
Yeah. There's another question about what runs are being offered for PGY2s this year, particularly community runs in paediatrics. Yes, there's paediatrics. There's 6 months of paediatric jobs as PGY2. They're competitively with external people, but each year we often get a PGY2 to do it. If you're particularly interested in paediatrics, or we do have a specific mental health and adolescent health run, but that is specifically for people who are actually interested in it. So it's not, we have it to create, but you actually have to want to do that as a career. In terms of community runs, we have palliative care, sexual health, public health, St. John's, GP. We hopefully will have urgent care again next year, but which we have had in the past. What have I missed?
Just rural GP. We've got a fantastic rural GP run out at Te Kaha. Everyone comes back raving about it, and there's accommodation provided up at Te Kaha, and it's not your standard GP practice, because it's actually hospital-owned premises, and the GPs are on a hospital contract, and so it's run in a very different fashion, and it's true rural GP. True rural GP. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so in terms of other runs, we've got, in hospital, cardiology, orthopedics, surgical specialties, gen med, general surgery, urology, mental health. Anything else?
ED.
Oh yes, ED. You can come with me. Yeah. I think that's quite a nice run. Leah will tell you, she's about to start shipping in. I think we've answered that. Any other questions? I can't see any other questions on the Q&A.
No, so no other questions have come through, but I've got a few of common general questions. We've still got a few minutes. So some of the common questions that have come through is what are the food options like at the hospital? That's been quite a hot general question that's come through. And is there catering for vegans and so on?
There's meat-free Monday. Every Monday.
The canteen provides food. Yeah, there's some good snack options. I think if you're gluten-free, vegetarian or vegan, it tends to be a bit more scarce. But they do have now, they've started frozen meals from Jess's Kitchen, which is a good alternative. Yeah.
It is better than it has been before. It does make incremental progress, but you wouldn't travel to the hospital to get your food, unfortunately. But there is definitely nutritious food to be eaten.
That's a lot better not having to worry about what you're going to bring in for lunch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's definitely less stress. So take what we get. Yeah,
Sushi and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, much as we knock it, there's nobody actually losing weight.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Kate is cool.
You better than lose weight as a consultant when you're no longer on registrar.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I'll just ask one more, which is, again, quite a common question, is around parking facilities, public transport, and bike tracks or cycles.
Planet and not travelling in cars. And public transport is good as well, but there's a bike shed. As for cars, well.
So I personally don't drive a car. I ride to work. It's quicker and easier than driving, and it may be particular to where I necessarily live. But there's showers here. There are a number of junior doctors who choose to shower as well. When I was a house surgeon here, I used to ride my bike as well. There are really good cycle lanes up and down Cameron Road, and they have worked really hard on the cycle network around Tauranga. There is some public transport, but it's really sketchy. It's long and multiple bus routes, and so I wouldn't rely on buses, especially when you're doing long days and things like that. It's just not feasible. But there is car parking provided. There is on-call parking spaces specifically, so no one doesn't find a car park, and it's all free. So there is no paid parking here. So you cannot jump a queue by paying for parking here. It's all free if that is your decision. But I definitely would recommend, instead of a thought process of thinking about just finding somewhere that's easy to bike to. Because I bike rain, hail or shine.
And I bike as well.
Cyclone or other
And if I finish my shift at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll be biking home at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning.
And there's 2 or 3 ways in from the mount that you can actually,
as you can see,
largely be on the main highways. So there are a couple of ways we can show you how to get to work, or if you're coming in from Mount to Otamotai. But it would be fair to say that if you want to drive from the mount, that you don't want to leave for work at 20 to 8, because the traffic there's certainly windows when traffic is pretty busy, but there would be no difference from a big city.
And while there is parking, it's generally a good idea to leave time to actually find the parking space as well. Because while there is free parking, it's free parking so everyone who drives uses it.
Great, thank you. So I think on that, we will close off. If our participants do have any other questions that they would like to ask, they're more than welcome to go to the RMO units directly. And if it's anything with regards to the ACE process, please feel free to contact me at any time. All the ACE contact details are available on our website. So with that, if there's no further comments from our panelists, I will hand back over to Dr. Matt to close us off with a karakia.
O tēnā koutou, te tūmanaku e pai nei tō ake whakarongo o titiro atu i ke tēnei pāpahotanga. nei rā tu te mihi kia koutou. A mea kare kia tātou. Unuhea ki te urutapu nui, kia māma, ki wātia, te tinana, te hinaro, te wairoa, ki te arataka tū, oi ara e rongo, kia wātia, aira, kua wātia, tūtere whakamaua kia tīna, taumie, tuie, tākie.
Great, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. And everyone, I hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.